Our next presenter is Mr. Job Lazarus Okello of Uganda. Job Lazarus Okello is an outstanding, influential, and distinguished, multi-gifted and talented Ugandan diplomat, Pan-Africanist, author, speaker, scholar, researcher, mechanical engineer, industrial engineer, manufacturing engineer, and entrepreneur born in Gulu, Uganda. He is the co-founder of Unlimited Inspiration International. It's a global organization with a vision of transforming lives globally by inspiring, motivating, and empowering humanity. Job is also the principal guest of the Continental Pan-African show, Let's Build Africa, of Priyana TV of Ghana, where topical discussions are held to diagnose African problems and then propose practical and realistic solutions to the problems while clearly specifying everyone's role. Friends, educator from across the world, let us all welcome Job Lazarus Okello.
It is one of the greatest honors of my life to join fellow global educators today at one of the greatest ever global gatherings on education, the International Conference on Education. It is wise that today we are gathered to discuss the future of global education. We cannot prepare for the future in the future. We must prepare today for the future we desire, demand, and deserve. It was the great Malcolm X who once said, education is the passport to the future. For tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. When what has never happened happens, then what has never been done must be done. History has shown that desperate situations always call for desperate measures. The world has never been in dire need of new and better ways of doing things more than today. Given the numerous crises the world is experiencing today, throughout history, innovation and creativity have never been desired, demanded, and deserved more than today. Only through sustainable education will we ever solve the crisis the world faces today. Only through sustainable education will we ever achieve sustainable development. Only through sustainable education will we ever create a better world than the one we have right now. In the words of the great Nelson Mandela, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Any country that does not invest heavily in education is doomed. That country has a dark future and will lag behind the countries that invest heavily in education for as long as it does not invest heavily in education. No country can ever fully realize the potential of its people without quality, holistic education. Quality, holistic education is the most powerful tool for achieving sustainable development. If you educate someone, you have given them everything they need to survive. Education is life. He who deprives you of education deprives you of life. He who educates you gives you life. Ignorance is the deadliest disease ever. It has killed more people than all wars, sicknesses, and natural calamities combined. The only solution to ignorance is the right knowledge. The right knowledge is acquired through quality holistic education. Quality holistic education is attained both in formal and informal schools. He who is uneducated cannot be in charge of his life for as long as he is uneducated. Therefore, make every effort not to be ignorant. Seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave and apply the knowledge correctly, for knowledge is useful only when correctly applied. The great Greek philosopher and polymath Aristotle wisely said, the educated differ from the uneducated as much as the living differ from the dead. That's one of the most powerful, life-changing, and eye-opening statements ever made. If you are not educated, then you are dead alive. If you are not educated, then you are a liability to mankind. If you are uneducated, then you are blind. The world is controlled by the knowledgeable. We live in the information age. Unfortunately, many people don't appreciate knowledge because they don't value it. History has demonstrated that in every area of life, the knowledgeable often exploit the ignorant. If you are ignorant, then you are prone to exploitation. It is wise, therefore, to learn as much as you can. The more you learn, the less prone you are to exploitation. But the less you learn, the more prone you are to exploitation. In life, no one wants to be exploited. However, not everyone acquires the right knowledge and skills that should safeguard them from exploitation. Life is the greatest teacher ever. Always be a student of life. Learn from every situation you encounter in life. The lessons you learn in one situation will help you in many other situations. Invest heavily in yourself. In life, there is no better investment you can make than the investment in yourself. How are you investing in yourself? What are you learning? What kind of knowledge are you seeking? From what sources? Take it upon yourself to educate yourself. Don't wait for someone to educate you. Seek the right knowledge from the right sources and apply the knowledge correctly. The great American entrepreneur, speaker, and author Jim Rohn was right when he said, formal education will make you a living. Self-education will make you a fortune. You cannot afford to be ignorant in this information age. If you are exploited because of your ignorance in this information age, then that's your fault. Seek the right knowledge and use it to serve humanity. To attain sustainable development, the education systems in the world must be able to address our challenges by producing scholars who can not only identify problems, but also provide solutions to the problems. We cannot overcome any challenge we are ignorant about. We can overcome only the challenges we are knowledgeable about. Education is mandatory for us to identify our problems and then solve them. The wise Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu rightly observed that give a man fish and you feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. The education that makes us acquire skills and knowledge with which we can fish is the education that will feed us for a lifetime. That is the sustainable education we need. However, the education that only makes us get fish without making us able to fish will never sustain us. We cannot rely on such education. Sustainable education is the education that makes us acquire hooks and the knowledge required to use the hooks to catch the fish we desire. The education that makes us acquire only fish is not sustainable at all. That education makes us slaves to those who have fish. We should never entertain that education at all costs. That education will never sustain us. That education will never solve the problems we face. That education will never build the world we want. That education will never build us. We can best build the world by building ourselves. And we can best build ourselves by attaining quality, sustainable, and holistic education. Only quality, holistic education is sustainable. It is the education we can rely on to achieve sustainable development. That education enables learners to answer all of the following questions. Who are you? What do you want in life? Where are you going with your life? Why do you exist? What are your talents and gifts? What are you doing with your talents and gifts? What skills and knowledge do you have? What can you do with the skills and knowledge? What problems have you identified in the world? What solutions are you providing to the problems with what you have? Benjamin Franklin was right when in his wisdom, intelligence, and understanding, he said, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. The interest we get depends on what we invest. If we must reap what we desire, then we must first sow the seeds. Because in life, one reaps exactly what they sow. Today, as we discuss the future of global education, we must ask ourselves, what are we investing in our education? What interest do we want to get out of our investments? What results do we want from our investments? What kind of investment will each of us make to get the results we want? What are we investing in global education? What kind of education will help us achieve sustainable development? What is each of us willing to invest in global sustainable education to achieve sustainable development? What sacrifices are we willing to make so that we achieve sustainable development? What are we doing to educate the world? The world has never needed sustainable education more than today. The world needs education systems that are both knowledge and skill-based as opposed to only knowledge-based systems. Knowledge-based systems create a mismatch between education and available opportunities. Such systems create a gap and missing link between education and employment. The education systems that are both skill and knowledge-based will provide the missing link as well as close the gap between education and employment. That is the education that will address the global unemployment crisis. The sustainable education we need is the education that decolonizes and hence transforms our minds and makes us not only think, but also do for ourselves. Only when we transform our minds will we ever transform our lives, because transformation of every nature always begins in the mind. The former American physician, poet, and polymath Oliver Wendell Holmes Sr. was right when he said, a man's mind is stretched by a new idea or sensation and never shrinks back to its former dimensions. The great French philosopher René Descartes put it beautifully that I think, therefore I am. And the English musician and film producer George Harrison summed it up when he said, it is all in the mind. Whatever conquers your mind, conquers your life. Either you conquer your mind or it conquers you. If you don't conquer your mind, it will conquer you. If you are not in charge of your mind, then other people will be in charge of it. They will then be in charge of your life. You will then be a slave. No slave is in charge of his life. The only education that will change our lives is education that changes our minds and makes us in charge of both our minds and lives. That education will make us great thinkers and doers. If we cannot think for ourselves, then we cannot do for ourselves. If we cannot do for ourselves, then we are not educated. If we are not educated, then we are slaves. Sustainable education is an education that makes us self-reliant. No one will ever come from any place and do for us what we are supposed to do for ourselves. The education that makes us great thinkers and doers for ourselves will make us self-reliant. That education will take us to the promised land as humanity. That education will make us in charge of our affairs. That education will make us leaders in the different areas of life. That education will make us united as humanity to solve our problems. That education will make us global problem solvers. That education will make us enlightened. That education will make us acquire the right knowledge and skills with which we will solve the various problems we face. That education will make us think creatively and innovatively to identify problems and then provide solutions to the problems. That education will make us identify opportunities and then tap them. That education will make us discover our hidden talents and gifts and ultimately tap them for the good of humanity. That education will transform the world. The education that will transform the world is education that brings out the best in people. In life, everyone wants the best, even if they may not afford it. The great American lecturer, poet, and philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson wisely taught that if a man can write a better book, preach a better sermon, or make a better mousetrap than his neighbors, though he builds his house in the woods, the world will make a beaten path to his door. No one will ignore you as long as you're good at what you do. As long as you're good at what you do, you can thrive in any part of the world. Are you good at what you do? How do you do what you do? Do you do everything with all your might or superficially? The world is looking for those who are good at what they do. The education that brings out the best in people will make them thrive in any setting, in any part of the world, at any time. That is the sustainable education the world needs. That education will make us self-employed as well as self-deployed. That education will make us identify the available resources and then utilize them properly to meet our needs and hence solve our problems. That education will instill in people a deep sense of responsibility to humanity. That education will make us aware of our environment and then strive with all our might to nurture, conserve, and protect it, but not destroy it. That education will produce job creators, not seekers. Today, the world is in dire need of job creators. Will you be one of the job creators? What jobs will you create for humanity? Are you a job creator or seeker? If you cannot identify problems and create solutions to them, then you are not educated, yet you are miseducated. Education is supposed to make you identify problems and then create solutions to the problems. Everyone in the world is looking for the solutions to their problems. If with your education, you cannot identify problems and provide solutions to the problems, then you are irrelevant to humanity. Your relevance to humanity depends on the problems you solve. The more problems you solve, the more relevant you are to humanity. If you are not providing any solution to any problem in the world, then you are irrelevant to humanity. Even though problems exist everywhere, not everyone sees them and provides solutions to them. You set yourself apart when you provide solutions to the problems people face in the world today. The world will pay you heavily for the problems you solve. The question we must ask are this: which problems have we identified? What solutions are we providing to them? How relevant are we to humanity? How useful are we to humanity? What are we doing to make the world better than what it is right now? What legacies are we creating in the world? Your usefulness to humanity depends on what you do with your life. What are you doing with your life? Are you really touching lives with your life? The sustainable education the world is in dire need of is an education that produces responsible people who positively transform the world by touching lives with their lives. In his great book, The Miseducation of the Negro, the great American historian, author, and journalist, Carter Gordon Woodson wrote that the mere imparting of information is not education. Above all things, the effort must result in making a man think and do for himself. We need an education that makes us think and do for ourselves. We need to ask ourselves if our education really makes us think and do for ourselves, or only imparts information in us. We should not be only consumers of thoughts, but also producers of great thoughts that can positively transform the world. We should be able to think and produce new things and methods, or at least improve the existing ones. The education that promotes innovative and creative thinking, identify problems and create solutions to the problems is a sustainable education the world is in dire need of today. That is the education that will transform the world. That is the education we must all strive for. That is the education the world must provide to humanity. That is the education every country must provide to its citizens. We must heavily invest time in creative and innovative thinking so that we can solve all the problems we face. Any education that does not promote innovative and creative thinking to identify problems and create solutions to the problems will not solve the problems we face. Without creativity and innovation, we will never solve the problems we are facing today. Innovation and creativity are the most powerful tools we can use to solve the problems in the world today. Sustainable education is the one that harnesses our creativity and innovation. That education will make us have role models and mentors in whose footsteps we will walk while maximizing our potential. In life, other people can always show you the way and even work with you, but no one can ever work for you. It is your responsibility to work for yourself. In life, no one can work for anyone. Everyone works for himself. Are you working for yourself? Are you helping other people to work for themselves? Sustainable education is the education that makes us work for ourselves while helping others to work for themselves. While we learn from other people, we should be able to work for ourselves. Sustainable education is the education that makes us learn as much as we can from other people while we work for ourselves. That education will make us add value to humanity. In life, everyone is looking for value. The more valuable you are to humanity, the more relevant you are. Education should make us add value to humanity. If you add value to humanity, then you are constructive. Otherwise, you are destructive. If you add value to humanity, then you are an asset. Otherwise, you are a liability. If you add value to humanity, then you are relevant. Otherwise, you are irrelevant. The value you add to the world makes the world better than what it is. What value are you adding to humanity? How are you serving humanity with your education? Today, many people have exceptional dreams that could revolutionize the world. Those dreams must be fostered, groomed, and protected so that they are realized. Without quality holistic education, it will be impossible to realize those dreams. Sustainable education is education that puts young people at the heart of every effort to develop the world. The young people are the future leaders. However, they must be prepared today to lead tomorrow. The great Dutch philosopher and theologian, Desiderius Erasmus, said the main hope of a nation lies in the proper education of its youth. The old people must mentor the young people and prepare them to lead. If we don't mentor the young people, then we will never achieve sustainable development. Achieving sustainable development depends on how we will mentor the young people. How many young people are you mentoring with your education? No one will ever come from any place and mentor the young people for us. We are the ones to do the work. We must make every effort possible to mentor and produce young people with a strong sense of responsibility to humanity. We can count on those young people to take over from the old people and create a better world than the one we have now. Life is like a relay race. One generation runs and hands over the baton to the next generation. The old people will hand over the baton to the young people. However, they must prepare the young people to receive the baton from them. If we must achieve sustainable development, then we must mentor the young people to whom we will hand over the baton. Otherwise, sustainable development will forever be a dream that will never be realized. We must give the young people the sustainable education with which they will strive for sustainable development. We must not just talk about sustainable education, but act. No matter how much we talk, if we don't act, we are wasting time. We will not achieve sustainable development by just singing, but swinging into action. Achieving sustainable development is a collective responsibility. Everyone has a big role to play. We must all collaborate at all levels to ensure that we provide quality, holistic education to everyone, everywhere, every time. Our strength as humanity lies in our unity, and our weakness lies in our disunity. We are only as strong as we are united, and as weak as we are divided. We must always remember that no one will ever come from any place and do for us what we are supposed to do for ourselves. What will you do in your capacity to educate humanity? What will be your contributions to the struggle to achieve sustainable development? Will you rise and make your contributions, or sit for your arms and watch as the world perishes? We are the ones to collectively strive for sustainable development. We are the ones to strive for sustainable education. If not us, then no other people. If not now, then never. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you very much, Job, Lazarus Okello, for that thought-provoking ideas. And yeah, true enough, that quality holistic education is very important, and that we can get that from formal and informal school. You made mention that we have to seek knowledge. Transformation begins in our mind. And the sustainable education, which you made mention, is very important to meet our needs and the sense of responsibility for everyone. Thank you very much. Let's give Job a round of applause, a virtual clap or a physical clap for Job. Thank you very much, sir, for the presentation.